Good to be here.
So tell me a little about yourself.
I guess I'm just like any other individual. There's some different aspects of me that I like to concur more than other things. But I do like to convey my ideas in different ways that people might not understand because it might be a negative aspect of what they're thinking. And it might be a different they might it's just stuff that they might not be used to. And
Yeah, like looked down upon.
yeah, they'll look down upon it as soon as I say it because it's not exactly something they agree with. Because in a mass culture everyone agrees with it. Sort of like things that my peers do, things like partying and stuff like that. I don't really look too highly on that, but I would prefer much rather that people create, that people, do their own thing, that they convey their ideas of what they're thinking on subjects through different manners other than social media, things like that. Stuff like that.
What do you mean convey other than social media? Because I feel everyone's on Twitter, everyone's on Instagram, everyone's on Facebook. So what do you mean like how what do you what are you talking about? Explain on that.
Yeah, exactly. That when someone has a problem, they go to social media for it. They can either cope with that with different things, partying, maybe even drugs. But not to sound corny in a way, but they could just convey that with different ideas, sort of with art, with painting, with music, with artistry, with clothing, with just getting out there and doing things other than staying inside partying. Because at the end of the day, that doesn't really add up to much. You're gonna get older. What are you gonna do with partying? You're gonna make that into a career. It's not exactly. And the way I'm saying this, people might see it as like look down upon. But that's definitely not what I'm trying to convey as far as me saying all these things.
So you feel like what's the message you're trying to say? Like that you feel like partying leads to nowhere, or
Uh, yes and no. I'm trying to say yes because that's actually what I do feel, but no because I want to tread lightly on the road that I'm trying to take right now. The more I say these things, the more looked down upon I might look. People might see it as that I'm being ignorant, and who knows? Maybe I am. I'm not old enough to really know. Uh, I could learn down the road and think, wow, I should have partied more. But then also I could look down the road and say, oh man, I should have prepared more. I should have, created more. I should have given like things more. I should have given more things out. Things like that. I like to define meaning as like something that you can convey, such as like when you paint something, it turns into an idea, and then from that idea you paint it, and from that painting people get a message from it. It doesn't necessarily need to be a positive message or a negative message. It's just different feelings that they might feel at the moment. Because just like when people say that they want to be happy all the time, and there's no possible way for somebody to be happy because at all times, because you can't just go through life ignoring the bad things too. It'll build up. It'll eat you inside. Um, so technically, that's what I want to do. There's just so many ideas that I have as far as what I'm trying to convey. Um, Paintings, videos, interviews like this one, in fact, to get people to understand more what I'm trying to get at when I reveal things. Um, Movies, maybe music down the road, who knows, but not my music particularly, because people nowadays they make music, but they're really not in the right place because they're just trying to copy someone else's artistry, and even if you can even call it artistry at that point, and I'm not saying that all music is not art, but at the same time, there's different ways to do it so that you can convey a much more sense of decency to it. Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
yeah, just because of the fact on today's society, it's like so different. Like people go to parties just for the fact that they want to have a good time or be with people. So it's like if that's their version of doing stuff that makes them happy, then like why? Like everyone to its own, I guess, but like
Why am I looking down upon it so much?
yes,
That's true. Actually, people do have their own right. People have the right to go out and do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, that's temporary happiness. You're not really building up to do anything. And it does help that. I mean, there's people nowadays that it looks like as if they never graduated high school and they're in their late 20s. You can't even. They're still at events, and not even like looking down on those people. It's just that they can go to those events all they want, but what are they doing after they're not at that event, or after they're done with the party afterward? They're not. What, they go to their job and they do their thing. Then after that, they go party right away, and they're doing that. Next thing you know, they're doing that for the next 10 years.
okay, but saying that going to a party is bad is just like saying okay, well after that painting, like they just go back to their job, or after the job they go back to the painting. So it's like how is that different?
Yeah, I know exactly. But the painting, it can be distributed. Things like clothing, things like music, things like that. Even though it's especially hard with art nowadays to get it out there and get your name known from throwing your art out there. It's definitely a much better choice than, in my opinion, of course, than going to spending your nights at parties, things like that. Because you can't really. I mean, it's as simple as saying, how are you gonna turn that into a career? How are you gonna? And I'm not saying that you should be thinking about school or like careers wise, what you're gonna do in the future, 24/7, because you do have to think of the now. But the thing about now is that there's another one tomorrow. As corny as that sounds.
True. And there was another party.
Um, and then, as far as my ideas go that I'm trying to convey, as of right now, I'm working on this interview, and further down the road, I'm working on a movie so far that's. I have the script done, but it's not necessarily. I've had to do a lot of tweaks personally wise because I don't want to. I don't want to throw shade at anyone that I'm trying to make the movie about.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I've heard that this is a project that you've been working on now for over a long period of time, possibly even years now. Because I know the idea has been around. Because you've spoken about it, and I've heard you talk about the idea, but I've never seen anything get done. So how do you feel that what's like? How do you feel it's closer to being started? Even started, because I know it's nowhere to be finished now than it was a year or two ago when you first brought it up.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem that I've been held with for quite a bit. I had started it about a year ago, and I had planned to finish it this summer and release it this summer. But the thing is, things have happened in my life that I thought maybe this isn't right for the movie. Maybe it wouldn't be right for me to just throw these ideas out there that nobody understands, or not that nobody understands, but that they're way too personal for me to put into a film. And at the end of the day, you're just gonna get judged for it. But definitely, I think what matters most is that I get that script right and that I be as vague as possible, just so I don't. I want to make the movie be explored by I want the movie to be accessible to everyone that sees it. I want everyone to relate to it. I don't want it to just be my personal story. Of course, there's personal elements of my own story in it, but I don't want to, blind people from the fact that it can be relatable to everyone.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, you must like. What do you feel is the most how do I say that? What do you think is the biggest message that you're trying to portray in the making of this film?
Wow, message. Just don't fall in love. No, it has to be definitely that it. Just remember the moments you had because they're gone in an instant. They're not gonna be back. And I know that probably comes off as super corny, but it's just that once those days, those months are gone, you always trying to reminisce. It's like going on a roller coaster for the first time at an amusement park, and you think, wow, that was amazing because you're so astonished by how it was. So you go on it again to try to replicate that feeling of going onto that same roller coaster for the first time, and it just doesn't happen again because you've already gone on it. You've already experienced it. You know how it feels to have that same exact feeling. So then you try to replicate it over and over again, trying to think, or going and thinking that, oh, it's gonna feel the exact same way it felt the first time. It's gonna feel amazing, and the thing is that you're never gonna have that feeling again. It's gone. You're done. And so, the movie expresses the ideas that I've sort of been trying for years to replicate that same roller coaster ride, unsuccessfully, of course. And to this day, I might even be trying to replicate it over and over again without much success. A little bit less now, but it's definitely the idea is still out there that I'm trying to do that.
That seems pretty cool. So, do you have any certain dates on the movie or anything any plans, any concrete ideas?
Well, it might be soon to say, but I have a planned release date of September 25th of this year.
September 5th. Is that on? Why September? What's so special about that name?
It's right before fall, and fall's kind of where everything fell into place in the film, and it's just something that month things have always occurred to me like over the years in that same exact month, so might as well. And then it's end of summer, so give something to people to look back on before they start school, things like that.
Gotcha. I mean, what's your hopes and dreams for this movie other than people relating to it?
Well, I'm really not looking to get big because, face it, hardly anybody gets big from these things. I'm just looking to help people, and I know that my